That's your anchor. That's what makes us unique to anywhere else. Why would you destroy that? We can continue to look for that magic pill. What I mean by that is you think that the development of the waterfront is going to save Port Clinton. I hate to say this, but you're sadly mistaken. That's a pipe dream and nothing more than that. You can put up a hotel there. When you look at the hotels we got now, are they filled during the winter time? Is that creating year-round business? I don't believe so. You can put up a convention center. I'll be honest with you, if I'm going to have a convention, I'm going to need something for the families to do. I'm probably going to go to Sandusky to Kalahari so I can put my kids in the water park. We can have my meetings and make it a family outing. I also heard about how there are so many different storefronts that are empty right now. You know, in the city of Port Clinton, there are 2. They're being filled. I don't believe that working with a developer on the waterfront is going to help them, because in all reality, if you start today, it's a 5 to 10 year process to get that up and running. That's if we're lucky. That's if we can come up with the money to deal with the infrastructure. And lastly, the fact of the matter is we have a responsibility, and I ask you to think strong and hard about that responsibility and what that means. It's not about personal agendas. I don't think anybody has one, I hope, but I don't like what I'm reading. I don't like what I'm hearing. Matter of fact, I'm very disgusted with meetings that I've been present at. Those were some pretty tough comments that you made, Mayor. But the Mayor's comments notwithstanding, Council passed Ordinance 3212 by a 4-3 vote on September 25th. Subsequently, the Mayor vetoed the ordinance at the next City Council meeting. Now, council members that had voted for the ordinance were kind of taken aback by the Mayor's veto. Council members, like myself, wondered if we could possibly change the minds of one of the councilmen that had voted against the ordinance, because a fifth vote would be needed to overturn the veto. Business leaders in town were ready to assist by showing up and offering support for overturning the veto, and then we got another shot. One by one, we were asked to meet with the mayor, and we learned that he had been in contact with Mr. Rose since July of last year. So for me, it's difficult to figure out why, Mayor, you would have let us waste our time and energy discussing and arguing over this ordinance when you could have simply let us know that you have been approached by a developer, basically right from our own backyard, back in July. And this project flies in the face of all the concerns you mentioned on September 11th, and now you support it. So I've got to say that's a little bothersome. Be that as it may, Mr. Rose is here, and he gave a presentation on February 20th in regards to his vision of reviving downtown Port Clinton. So let's look at what's been proposed to us. Now, mind you, I am pro-development. One of my reasons for running for City Council in 2009 was to see if we could bring the right development to that property. And I realized that what I'm about to say, I risk it being said that Koppler is not a team player. But I am an independent thinker, and my concerns are for the people of Port Clinton, and those specifically in Ward 2. And there are legitimate concerns regarding this project. I've had some time to look over the Harborfront concept. I've done some research of my own, and I've listened to the presentation several times. I've tried to envision a fishing lodge with corporate and executive charters as the economic engine that will revive our downtown. A fishing lodge is going to be the economic engine. A fishing lodge with corporate and executive charters is going to be the economic engine to revive our downtown. Now, corporate charters were pretty strong up until the 1980s, and then tax laws changed. They couldn't be deducted, and they fell out of favor. And so I wonder, how many fishing trips are they going to take out of there to revive our downtown? 20, 40, 60 a day, every day? So what and who do you see at fishing lodges? You'll see mostly a bunch of guys getting together to get away from work and family for a week of fun and relaxation. Some of the lodges that I looked up did feature spas, which I presume is an attempt to lure more women to enjoy a lodge. But what you don't see are young children. The idea that a fishing lodge can be a 9-month attraction for families just might be a stretch. In fact, at the February 20th presentation, they talked about this being the hub and families going to Sandusky, to Cedar Point, or to one of the water parks, or they could go to the islands. And if you look at the concept drawing, you'll notice there's a lodge, docks, pool, and a beach. Derby Pond, Festival Promenades, a public amphitheater. Then there's 12 buildings in the center. Those are condominiums. Now, I tried to get Mr. Rose and Mr. Krebs to go into detail on those buildings, but they said it's just a concept. Ms. Benko pressed the issue, and they did say they were condos, but again, they wouldn't go into detail because it's just a concept. I've also heard that there's been nothing but positive comments about this proposal, and I've seen the emails that we've all been sent. But I've taken a different approach these last several weeks by going out in Ward 2 and talking with the residents. I went out to talk with residents that I had identified 3 years ago as pro-development. And I asked them if they'd seen the proposal and how they felt about it. Now, I got to admit, most knew very little about the proposed development. They didn't see a problem with lodges and docks. They were unsure about the amphitheater and the festival promenade area they thought might be too small. But when they found out the 12 buildings were to be condos, that's when they reacted strongly. They do not want condominiums. In fact, 78% were against putting condominiums on the property, and an even higher percentage don't want the city to sell the property. Now, some said that the city should see if Mr. Rose would build a lodge and do a downtown facelift and not build the condominiums. However, even the lodge itself is a condominium development of its own. This is a large-scale condominium development, and the question should be, is this going to be the best use of that property? I have no problem with having the city work with Mr. Rose, and it's good to see a developer from our own area interested. And while a majority of residents in Ward 2 told me they would like to see the property developed, they've been quite clear that they do not want to see a condominium development. Those that elected us expect and deserve that we will listen to them as well as to the other parties interested in this project. Those that elected us deserve to be properly informed. Council and the administration need to remember that we're to be their voice and to do their bidding. So let's make sure we get this right, because we're only going to get one chance. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Mr. Ackerman.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to remind everybody that Mondays is a great day to go to different meetings if you have the time available. Monday, the 18th, the West End Conestoga group meets at the New Baton. So if you haven't had a chance to get inside there to see that building, we meet in the cafeteria, and we work at helping out a great neighborhood. Monday the 25th, the Friends of the Cemetery meet at Ida Root Library. That's at 6:30. And by the way, the West End Conestoga meeting is at 6. And speaking of the Friends of the Cemetery, if you had a chance to read the Sandusky Register today, they made the front cover of that paper talking about their paving project for the cemeteries. Once again, if you would like to know more about that paving project, attending the Friends of the Cemetery meeting at Ida Root on the 25th would be beneficial to you. And the last meeting, unfortunately, takes place on a Tuesday, not a Monday. That will be the next Parks, Recreation, Cemetery meeting. And one of the items that we're looking at is the renovation of the West End Park. So if you have any comments or suggestions about that, please feel free to contact me. You can do that either through the city's website, or you can contact me at 419-285-6630 and leave me some suggestions about what to do with the renovation of the park. Please don't give me any other suggestions. Yeah, if you have any other good suggestions for the city, I'll take those too. Thank you very much for your time this evening, Madam President. I appreciate the ability to speak.
Mr. Carvalho, just asking you to copy the me to the clerk since you wrote the statement.
Sure.
Ms. Benko.
Yes, I also wanted to make a few comments about the question that the mayor asked us in email as far as our opinion of continuing to work with Mr. Rose. I support the city opening some sort of discussions with Mike Rose. However, while there's much support for working with Mr. Rose and admiration for his reputation and accomplishments with other downtowns, I do not believe we should, in hurried fashion, blindly lead the city into a project without the benefit of more concrete knowledge. To date, we've only heard and seen concepts which are based on outcomes in cities demonstrating far different economic indicators than Port Clinton. I believe this council needs to fully evaluate information such as a full proposal and market study from Mr. Rose and an economic impact study. Such information will allow council and community members to understand the revenue, business growth, and number of jobs the project might generate. I also would encourage council to continue considering input from the community. There is a lot of interest in working with Mr. Rose, but many residents who have seen the initial concept have expressed strong concerns about the numerous standalone timeshare condominium buildings, the seasonal nature of the fishing lodge concept, and the small banquet hall proposed. The common theme from these residents, all of whom support development of Waterworks Park, is that the project will not be of a large enough scale or generate enough foot traffic to have year-round impact. I encourage council to take into account such concerns. I also have questions regarding the process. The mayor's email to council stated that he wanted council members' opinion, quote, as I continue with Mr. Wilbur's guidance in moving forward to negotiate some type of deal, end quote. So this made me wonder, has something already been negotiated, and if so, what? If not, what parameters will this council set to be used by the mayor in negotiations? For example, Mr. Rose first stated that he wants to purchase the property, and then stated that he might be open to leasing the property through a public-private partnership. How the property to be developed is to be transferred to Mr. Rose is a fundamental term of any agreement. I think that council should openly discuss and agree on issues of such major significance so that council's direction may be included in the parameters used by the mayor in negotiating some type of deal. Certainly everyone wants to see Port Clinton thrive. It's our home, and we have all grown weary of the conversations that seem to stall every effort to bring about economic growth. However, exhaustion does not mean that the project we are discussing today is the correct project for Port Clinton. Only facts, specific plans, and open communication about the process will determine that. With respect to the questions that I had about where we are at in the process, we kind of received two conflicting emails because we first had the email from the mayor that referred to starting negotiations. Then we had a follow-up email that I received late today from Linda stating that this is about whether or not we get more information from Mr. Rose and proceed to some sort of committee. So could you please answer in more detail exactly where we're at?
Well, I think the email, first off, it was really meant to be quite simple. Is council in favor of trying to move forward and try to work with Mr. Rose to get some kind of opinion on what he thinks there? And it was stated about those are conceptual drawings, and that's exactly what they are. He doesn't have any definite plan. He doesn't want to draw from the community. But is the council willing to move forward, or are they not? That was really the gist of the whole email.
I would tell you that my email too is probably not the most accurate. But that's exactly where we're at, just attempting to get council's approval. If there's more individuals that aren't interested in moving forward, then it's no reason to do so. But if the majority of council wishes the administration to move forward, that's all that we're trying to. That's the only information that I was trying to get.
Okay.
There's
I
nothing.
guess what I'm trying to determine, I guess, is what process are we looking at following then from here on out? Because it's been alluded to the fact that a committee might be set up to develop a full proposal. Who do you envision serving on such a committee?
Anytime it comes to time for a committee, obviously the president of council will appoint or ask one of the council members to join in on that. Right now, I think this is a case where we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. None of us here know, including myself, doesn't know exactly what Mr. Rose is proposing on that property. And the option of sell versus lease is still up in the air. There have been no other meetings. There have been conversations over the phone. His concern was, is this council wanting to move forward, or are they not? Because, I guess, basically what we just stated here, we don't want to waste anybody's time. If council doesn't feel as though they want to move forward with development of the waterfront, we're not going to waste this gentleman's time. Or ours, yeah. So, as far as what's going on there, hasn't been discussed yet. But we have to approach him and say, we are, as a whole, we're wanting to move forward with some type of development on that waterfront. Years in the past, you talked about the history, there's a lot of going back and forth, this group did, this one didn't, that one wanted this one that. We don't want to relive that and split the city. We want to know, is council as a whole, with the comments that they've received from the constituents, do they want to move forward with this gentleman? It's just a pretty honest question. Please don't read so much into it.
Maybe not move forward is the right word. Maybe it's gather more information. We need to gather more information.
Well,
I think that's in the process. That's where we're at in this process.
I mean, I think what I'm hearing is that people are interested in working with Mr. Rose due to his reputation and his accomplishments with other downtowns. I'm also hearing a lot of serious reservations about the concept that he has proposed. So I think if we're moving ahead, I think it needs to be with the understanding that people are interested in opening discussions with Mr. Rose, but we need to proceed sort of deliberately through this, and not with the idea that just because we make a commitment to talking with him, that means that people somehow feel like they're railroaded into a commitment down the road. And that seemed to be some of the atmosphere that I thought that I was hearing from some community members. I think people weren't quite sure where we were in the process. They weren't sure if that, how final that concept was or how open he was to changing that concept. And so I guess that's I guess maybe what needs to be clear is, are we asking a decision that we would like to work with Mr. Rose, or is it some sort of approval for this concept? I think they're really kind of two separate issues in a lot of people's minds. I
think it's just asking if we can move forward, if we can go to the next step of making things a little more concrete for them, and then bringing that back and starting to whittle away and make some decisions. Maybe he's going to come back. Maybe we're going to meet. He's going to tell us a few more things. We're going to bring that back to council. We're going to have somebody from council on the committee, and that may not be what we like, but we may go back and say we'd like to see this or we'd like to see that. I think we just want permission to go to the next step, get some more information from him, because I think what he just gave us was a layout of the land, things that he could do, not necessarily would do or can do.